Cyril met Kate in a cafe. He was there on a side job, connecting a newly installed refrigerator in the basement. After graduating from university, he worked in his main specialty at a serious enterprise, as a mechanical engineer for refrigeration units. The salary was good, but he never refused additional earnings. That's how it was that day. After finishing work, he decided to have lunch in this cafe. The only free seat which the waitress offered him was at a table for two where Kate was sitting. They placed an order and, while waiting for it to be fulfilled, struck up a conversation. Cyril won Kate's heart by knowing how to listen and ask questions, and he was always attentive to details. By the end of lunch, Cyril already knew a lot about her. She said she lived 2 stops from the cafe. Nearby was the firm where she worked in the economics department. A careful question about a man in her life led to her admitting it. She wasn't dating anyone at the moment and spent evenings at home, watching TV and studying recipes for various dishes. Later, Cyril talked to some of Kate's friends and learned that 6 months ago, Kate had been seriously dating a man named Ivan. Things didn't work out between them, and he disappeared. Since then, she had been living alone. Kate was an amazing combination of external restraint and inner light. From the outside, she might seem quiet and even a bit reserved, but Cyril, with his innate attentiveness, quickly saw behind this a deep kindness and a sharp, lively mind. She was incredibly neat and organized. Even on the cafe table, everything stood perfectly straight, and the napkin was folded in half. This meticulousness extended to her work in the economics department. Her reports were a model of accuracy and clarity, for which management valued her and often entrusted her with the most complex tasks. Colleagues respected Kate for her reliability and calm, non-confrontational nature. She never gossiped or complained, preferring to resolve issues to the point. Kate also had a secret. It was the story with Ivan, the circumstances of which Cyril learned from her closest friend, Faith. The story had a continuation that no one knew about. Ivan didn't just disappear. He left for another city on an urgent job offer, promising to return or take Kate with him. At first, they actively corresponded, but then his messages became rare and dry. Kate, proud and principled, took the hint and stopped writing first. But she still sometimes checked his page on social media, leaving no trace, not to pine, but to finally convince herself of his indifference and give herself permission to move on. This story left in her not a wound, but rather a lesson. A lesson in caution and self-sufficiency. That day, when they met, Cyril suggested meeting in the evening and going to a cafe. Unexpectedly for him, Kate agreed. In the evening after work, they met in the center. Cyril gave Kate a luxurious bouquet of flowers. They went to a cafe, but not the one where they met, but another a bit further. In the evenings, live music played there. Besides, Cyril had acquaintances among the staff and the manager himself. They often turned to him for issues with the electrical part of kitchen equipment. They took a table in a secluded spot where it wasn't too noisy, and the music didn't interfere with conversation. At the end of the evening, Cyril walked Kate home. They agreed to go to the theater tomorrow for the premiere of a play. Cyril already had the tickets. Thus, their relationship gradually began to develop. After 2 months of courtship, Cyril spent the night at Kate's for the first time, and soon moved in with her. He decided to rent out his apartment. Their romance developed rapidly. They couldn't live without each other. Time flew quickly, and Cyril decided it was time to think about starting a family. One evening he said, "Kate, I love you and ask you to become my wife." To his request, he attached an engagement ring and added, "Kate, I've never proposed to anyone and don't know what rings to give when asking for a woman's hand, my future wife's. What will you answer me?" "What can I answer? Course I agree. I've loved you for a long time." Kate threw herself on Cyril's neck, laughing and crying at the same time. The ring on her finger sparkled in the lamplight, like the glow in her eyes. They stood in the middle of her cozy living room, which had long become their shared home, and it seemed the air trembled with happiness. Cyril asked again, still not believing his luck, and hugging her tightly, "Really, you truly agree? I've never been so sure of anything. Love you. They sat up all night, talking, making plans, laughing, and returning to how it all began. Kate, usually restrained and meticulous, spoke endlessly. Her eyes shone. The next day, she told her friend Faith. With Ivan, everything was different. It was like a bright flash, but it quickly faded. With Cyril, I felt safe. He didn't disappear, he came and stayed. He always listened to me and never tried to change me. And why change you? You're perfect. Your neatness, your mind, your kindness. You're real. And he understood he wants to always be by your side. And I was afraid. After the story with Ivan, I built walls around myself. Work, home, recipes. That was my cocoon. And he appeared with his smile and ability to listen, and tactfully dismantled those walls brick by brick, without even noticing. He showed me I can trust him. With him I can be weak, and that's okay. They had a quiet wedding. Family life began. After work, Cyril waited for Kate, and they went home together. Sometimes they stopped at stores on the way. They usually dined together, but sometimes Cyril took side jobs. Then Kate dined alone in the cafe where they met. One day, the manager of the cafe where they celebrated the wedding met Cyril on the street. That day, Cyril didn't come for lunch, and Kate lunched without him. The manager asked, "And who did your wife lunch with today?" "I don't know, but I photographed them. Thought you'd be interested, I'll send you the photo." He sent it. On the fairly clear photo, Cyril recognized Ivan. He had seen him in photos on Kate's phone. Then she deleted those photos. Cyril, as usual, met Kate and didn't mention a word that he knew about her meeting. Gradually, he began asking her how her day went, but she said nothing about the meeting with her ex. The next day when he went to work, Kate, who had to go later, said, "Don't meet me today. I'll ask to leave work at lunch and go to Faith. I'll chat with her." "Okay, no problem." By the start of lunch, Cyril was sitting near Kate's office. She came out onto the street. He approached and said, "I'm free from lunch today too, so I'll go with you to Faith. Here, I even bought a cake for us." "Cyril." Kate faltered, nervously adjusted her bag on her shoulder, and continued, "Faith isn't feeling well today. Probably caught a cold. I'll just drop by for a minute, give her some work papers she asked for. I don't want to bother her long or risk you getting infected." She took a step toward the stop, but Cyril gently took her by the elbow. "No big deal. I'm a hardened guy. I clean refrigerators in any weather, and the cake is just for tea. We'll cheer Faith up, or is something wrong?" There was no suspicion in his voice, just slight bewilderment and care. But for Kate, with her heightened sense of guilt and desire for perfect order, this phrase sounded like a gong strike. She hated lying, especially lying to Cyril, said, looking away. "It's all true. I just need to talk to her one-on-one. Women's stuff. You understand?" "Understand. While you chat about your women's things, I'll make tea or coffee for the cake. Or are you trying to hide something from me?" Kate sharply raised her eyes to him. In them was animal horror, the kind when everything carefully built collapses. She realized Cyril hadn't appeared near the office by chance, and she wouldn't be able to get rid of him. She said, "Okay, let's go." They arrived at the building where Faith lived, went up to the floor. Kate rang the bell, and Faith opened the door. She was surprised by Cyril's appearance but didn't show it. She invited them into the apartment. They entered. There at the set table sat Ivan and another guy, introduced as Stan. Cyril turned to Kate. "Kate, now I understand why you didn't want me at Faith's. This is Ivan, right?" "Yes, it's Ivan. I didn't know he'd be here. Let's agree right now. From this minute, we'll tell each other the truth." "Agree. You met Ivan yesterday and arranged to meet him today." Kate froze. Seemed she stopped breathing. All her neatness and control crumbled in an instant. She stood defenseless and guilty, awaiting judgment, and confirmed, "Yes, at lunch I accidentally met Ivan, and we lunched together in the cafe. There he suggested meeting today at Faith's." "Kate, you have a choice now. Either we leave here together, or I leave alone, and that will be the end for us. Let's go." Cyril turned and headed for the exit. Kate was confused, started explaining something to Ivan. Faith said, "Kate, don't worry. Cyril won't go anywhere. He loves you." "No, I did wrong, and now I need to catch him and ask forgiveness." Ivan added, "Kate, that will be the right decision because as I already told you, I'm married." While Kate decided what to do, Cyril went out to the street, walked to the stop, got on a passing minibus and left. Only there did he remember that Kate had locked the door and he had no keys. He deliberately left them so there would be a reason to visit Faith if he didn't intercept Kate near the office. In the end, the situation was that he had nowhere to go. The phone rang, and from the ringtone he knew it was Kate. Cyril turned off the phone, deciding to give her time. He thought she was deciding whom to stay with. Cyril didn't know that Kate came out after him in 5 minutes but didn't catch him on the street. She rushed to catch up, thinking he went home but he wasn't there. And she needed to tell him she was pregnant and that at the meeting she wanted to ask Ivan not to bother her anymore because she was happy with Cyril. Now there was no one to tell, and she was to blame herself. Cyril went to a friend who had gone on vacation with his wife and kids and left the apartment to him to water the flowers. Cyril stopped at a supermarket, bought groceries, and in the evening sat at the table, thinking why he was so unlucky with women. A week passed. Cyril avoided meeting Kate in every way. He stopped going to lunch at the cafe where she usually was. In the evenings he went on side jobs. Fortunately, tools for work were in his office. One day, repairing refrigeration equipment in a nightclub and waiting for payment for the work done, he sat in the rest area. Unexpectedly, Ivan approached him. He asked, "Where's Kate? Did you make up?" "Have no idea where she is. She stayed at Faith's with you. Though she was given a choice. Go with me or stay." "And how could I stay if she deceived me? And we lived only 1 year. I don't understand anything. But Kate ran after you that day." "Wait, I'll call Faith." A minute later, Ivan came to him with the phone and said, "Faith wants to talk to you." He handed the phone to Cyril. Cyril took it and said, "Listening, Cyril, I can explain everything, but better if Kate does it." "And what will she explain?" "I don't know. Kate locked herself in her world again and doesn't meet anyone. She tried to find you to explain but couldn't. I'm to blame for all this. Ivan found me, wrote in Messenger, said he was in town on business and wanted to meet Kate, discuss an old matter. I saw nothing wrong with it. Just lunch and that's it. So I wrote him where he could meet her. Just to talk." "Yes, they agreed to meet the next day at my place. But Kate didn't tell you because she didn't want to bother you with this nonsense. He's absolutely nothing to her. Especially since Kate is expecting a child from you. And that's what she wanted to tell Ivan at my place. Paternity test will have to be done. And you'll do that yourself without involving Kate. Otherwise, with your distrust, you'll destroy her." "I don't know, but she met him again and tried to deceive me." "No, Cyril, you misunderstood. She wasn't trying to deceive you. She just wanted to close this page of her life forever. But it turned out stupid somehow. It's up to you." Cyril returned the phone to Ivan. He took it, paused, looking attentively at Cyril, who looked broken and confused. Ivan, whose voice lost its former frivolity and became serious, even a bit tired, said, "Listen, I'm probably the last person who has the right to advise anything, but apparently now only I can clarify something." Cyril was silent, staring at the table, but on guard. Ivan sighed heavily and continued, "Faith told me everything about the child and what Kate wanted to tell me. I didn't come here to ruin anything, honestly. I got married 6 months ago. I left then because my current wife was there, in another city, and the situation with her was complicated. I made a choice not the most noble. I just disappeared because I was a coward and didn't know how to explain to Kate." He paused, letting the words settle, and added, "And now I came on business, and I felt ashamed of how I acted then. I wanted to apologize, just say, 'Sorry,' and leave with a clear conscience. I found Faith, asked how Kate was living if I could see her. I didn't know she was married, that it was so serious with her. Faith said Kate usually lunches alone in that cafe. Came we talk. She said she was happy. And then I, the egoist, thought, great, so she doesn't hold a grudge. I can apologize and that's it. I suggested meeting again to talk without rush, in a calm setting. She agreed, but I felt she did it more out of politeness to put a period. And then you appeared. Ivan looked straight at Cyril and said, she didn't run to me. She ran after you. You need her, understand. She chose you right away in that very moment. You just didn't let her say a word. You passed sentence without listening to her. And she, as I understand, is a proud girl. If you don't believe, she won't justify herself or beg. She'll lock herself in like she did after my departure. But now she's not alone. She has your child inside. Cyril raised his eyes to him. In them raged a storm of anger, pain, jealousy, and anxiety. He asked hoarsely, why should I believe you? You already ruined everything for her once. Now here I am because it's no longer profitable or necessary for me. My conscience is clear now. I apologized. I told her I'm married. I'm going back to my life. Though I care whether you make up or not, but I see you need each other. I saw her face when you left. It was the face of a person who lost everything. Not because of me, because of you, because of your distrust. It's up to you. But if you really love her, stop running, stop listening to someone from the outside. Talk to her yourself. Cyril thought, then took out his phone and dialed Kate's number. She answered immediately, as if waiting for his call. Cyril, I'm listening. Cyril heard her voice, quiet, tense, but full of hope. A lump rose in his throat. His own voice sounded hoarse. Kate, where are you? Home. I'm always at home. Only go to work. I wait 1 day, 2 a week. I'll come to your building soon. Come out to the street. Though when I'm at the entrance, I'll call. He reached Kate's building but didn't call and didn't wait for the elevator. He flew up the stairs to her floor. She, seeing him through the window, was already waiting on the landing. Pale in a simple house robe, but with neatly styled hair, as if all this time waiting for him to appear any moment. In her hands she clutched the phone. They stood facing each other in the narrow space between the door and the stairwell. The air seemed thick and prickly. Finally, she exhaled the first thing that came to mind, discarding all prepared phrases. Cyril, I never deceived you. I just didn't mention that meeting. Stupid. Yes, I was afraid you'd misunderstand, get upset over nonsense. Ivan is just an unpleasant memory to me, Cyril stated, but already without former harshness. There was tiredness in his voice. You arranged a meeting at Faith's and didn't tell me because you wanted to close it once and for all. Tell him to disappear from my life forever. With you I couldn't do it. It would be cruel to him and unworthy to you. I wanted to do it quickly and quietly. She took a step toward him. He saw her fingers trembling and heard, the most important thing I wanted to tell him is that I'm expecting a child, our child Cyril. And I wanted him to know and never appear again. Cyril was silent, looking at her. All suspicions, all jealousy and pain suddenly crumpled and gave way to this one phrase. It rang in the silence of the entrance. Cyril asked, why didn't you tell me this right away? I wanted to tell you in the evening, returning from Faith's. Then I waited for your call, waited for you to appear, wanted to look you in the eyes, not over the phone. And you mentioned a paternity test. Faith told me. Cyril winced, as if from a blow. I was beside myself. It was stupidity, monstrous stupidity. Forgive me. You must believe me. If we're together, you must believe me unconditionally, as I believe you. I never asked who that girl was you supposedly lunched with according to the manager. I just showed you the photo and gave you a chance to explain. And you explained and I believed. 'Cause it's you. He understood her hint. Then at the cafe, he immediately said it was his client, to whom he was giving a disc with programs for the cash register. Kate just nodded and smiled. No interrogations, no scenes. He quietly said, you're right. Forgive me, I got scared. Scared of losing you, as I lost everything dear before you. And instead of asking, I attacked. I acted like a coward. Sorry. She came close and put her palm on his chest, right over his heart. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I chose you the second you turned and left. You just walked too fast. And then I didn't know how to find you. Thought you didn't want to be found." He hugged her, pressed her to him, feeling her body tremble. Cyril answered, "I was at a friend's, watering flowers and thinking only of you. Every hour, every minute." She nodded, and tears finally flowed down her cheeks. But these were tears of relief. "Then let's go home. I cooked dinner yesterday and the day before. Everything's in the fridge. I knew you'd return." He took her hand and let her lead him into the apartment. Everything was perfectly clean as always. It smelled of freshness and something tasty, homemade. The world he almost destroyed with his distrust. They sat on the sofa in the living room, and he didn't let go of her hand. He said, "You know what I thought about all these days? About how you told Faith that I came and stayed. So, I'm staying forever. I won't go anywhere, I promise." She smiled her restrained bright smile, which made her incredibly beautiful, and said, "And I promise to always tell you the truth, even the most inconvenient, even if I'm afraid you'll misunderstand." "Agreed. And now let's warm up dinner. And you'll tell me everything about our child from the very beginning." The warm dinner, smelling of bay leaf and something tasty homemade, stood on the table. They ate slowly. Their fingers kept intertwining over the plates. The air, recently so heavy, was now filled with quiet understanding and relief. Kate pushed away the empty plate. Her eyes shone, and she started talking. "I found out I was pregnant the day we fought. Did the test in the morning before work after you left. Saw 2 lines called the Women's Clinic. They took me in the morning. I couldn't believe it. Wanted to call you right away. But then decided to tell in some special way. Cook your favorite strudel, buy a bottle of pomegranate juice. Wait for the moment. I told only Faith about being pregnant. And I almost ruined your surprise with my stupid behavior. Sorry. It's okay, now we'll have our own special surprise." Kate put his palm on her still flat belly and added, "Here lives our future." They fell silent, and in the kitchen silence, their future seemed as warm and real as the lamp light over the table. Cyril quietly began, "You know what I'm thinking? I don't know. That my apartment is rented for only 6 months. The contract is ending. We can sell it and buy something roomier. Maybe even a little house not far from the city with a garden. So our baby can run on the grass." Kate's eyes lit up. Her meticulous mind was already building plans. She said, "A garden, that's so much care. Flower beds, lawn. But how wonderful. And can it have a big kitchen and a window overlooking the garden? I'll cook, and you'll play with the baby on the lawn. I already imagine little swings, a sandbox. 'Twill all be. I'll take more orders, only serious ones, not small side jobs but real projects. My reputation allows it. And do you want to keep working?" Kate thought, neatly folded the napkin by the plate, and answered, "At first, yes, of course, my department, my reports. But then, closer to birth, I'll probably go on maternity leave and we'll see. I like my work, but now there'll be more important work, the most important in the world. You'll be a wonderful mom, the neatest, most organized and loving. And you the most reliable dad, who fixes not only refrigerators all over the city but broken toys and who never disappears." They fell silent again, and this time the silence was filled with huge plans. Kate broke it first. Her voice took on a businesslike tone, familiar to Cyril from budget discussions. "Okay, dreams are good, but let's go in order. First, tomorrow we register with the doctor, get on the books. Second, we don't sell your apartment, we rent it for another year. That will be our financial cushion, in case the house doesn't work out right away. Third, we look not for a house but a good 3-room apartment in our area, closer to the park. While I'm pregnant, moving to a new house is too much stress." Cyril looked at her with adoration. Her ability to instantly switch from reconciliation tears to strategic planning amazed him. He picked up, "Tomorrow I call my buddy, he's a real estate agent, and ask him to find us options. That will be 4th. And 5th. We enjoy this evening. Just us 2, or rather 3. And no more fights over the past, only the future." Kate relaxedly leaned her head on his shoulder but said, "Then there's 6th. What exactly? I promise that in my life and generally near me there will never be Ivan." Agreed. She closed her eyes and added, "You know, I'm truly happy now, even after all this story, because you returned. And now I know for sure, we'll overcome everything." Cyril confirmed, "We'll overcome everything. And now go to the sofa, get comfortable. I'll clean everything myself, wash and bring you tea. From today you're in special status with us." Kate was about to object that she copes fine herself, but then smiled and obediently went to the living room. She heard him bustling in the kitchen, clinking dishes, and this everyday noise was the most beautiful music to her. Much better than what played in the cafe on the day they met. Several months passed. Cyril and Kate's life entered a new, calm, and happy rhythm. They found a spacious 3-room apartment near the park as planned. The move was organized with Kate's meticulousness. All boxes labeled. Furniture arrangement thought out to the centimeter. Kate was noticeably rounder, and her neatness now showed in preparing the nursery. Everything painted in soft tones, arranged in places, and washed to sterile cleanliness. Cyril, true to his word, took on more serious projects, cutting random side jobs. He hardly left for long and returned home every evening to spend time with his wife and future child. They were a single whole, a strong couple, having passed tests of distrust and emerged only stronger. At the beginning of the 6th month of Kate's pregnancy, the women's clinic confirmed it would be a boy. One quiet Sunday evening, as they watched a movie together, the doorbell rang. Exchanging surprised looks, since they weren't expecting anyone, Cyril went to the video intercom. On the screen was a face he hoped never to see again. Kate asked, "Who is it?" "Ivan." Tense silence hung in the air. Kate slowly rose from the sofa, came to her husband and said, "Don't open, let him leave." But Ivan was persistent. He pressed the bell again, and then his voice came through the intercom, muffled and insistent. "Kate, I know you're home. I need to talk. Just 5 minutes." Cyril clenched his fists. He looked at his wife, seeking an answer in her eyes. Kate was calm, but in her compressed lips was determination. She firmly said, "I'll handle him myself. This is my past, and I'll close this page myself." Finally, she pressed the button, letting Ivan into the building. He told Cyril, "Trust me 100%. She looked at him straight, and in her gaze was no fear, no doubt. A minute later there was a knock at the apartment door. Kate opened it. On the threshold stood Ivan. He looked nervous and lost. Threw a quick glance at her belly and looked away. Said Kate, "Hi. Can I come in for a minute?" "No, Ivan, you can't. Everything that needed to be said has been said. You have 30 seconds to explain why you came here, disturbing our peace. I understand I have no right, but I can't live like this. I got divorced. And what does that mean for me? I kept thinking about you, about how I acted. It was a mistake. I realized it only now. I understood I love only you." Kate coldly interrupted him. "Are you done? Then my turn. Your appearance here is disrespect to me, to my husband, and to my family. You realized nothing, Ivan. You still think only of yourself and your fleeting desires. You appeared again when you got bored or lonely. I now have a person who doesn't disappear, whom I love, who stays with me forever. This is my husband and this is our child." She stepped back to take Cyril by the hand. He came into the hallway, standing beside his wife. His shoulder protectively touching hers. Silent solidarity was stronger than any threat. Ivan looked at them, at Kate's calm, confident face and Cyril's firm, uncompromising gaze. He saw their joined hands and understood everything. The wall he hoped to break was too strong. Kate said, and in her voice for the first time sounded not coldness, but slight tiredness, "I forgive you for everything that was, but that's all. We're no longer acquainted. Don't come, don't call, don't write, just disappear. This time forever." Ivan nodded more to himself. In his eyes was not remorse, but only annoyance and understanding of complete final failure. He turned and silently went to the elevator. Kate closed the door and turned to her husband. She was a bit pale, but her hands weren't trembling. She told Cyril, "That's it, period set. He won't come again." Cyril hugged her, pressing his cheek to her hair. "I'm proud of you. You were magnificent. I just told the truth. Our truth. Our life is only us, and no one else has the right to break into it." She put her hand on her belly, where their future son was kicking. She smiled and suggested, "Let's finish watching the movie. Our cinema is much more interesting." The silence that settled in the apartment after Ivan's departure was no longer tense, but cleansing. Kate and Cyril returned to their movie, but now they sat pressed close to each other, and the plot no longer mattered. The main thing was here, their family, their fortress, which they had just defended. However, for Ivan, the door that slammed behind him became not a period, but an explosion. He didn't leave reconciled. He left humiliated and offended. Kate's cold calm, her absolute invulnerability, and the sight of complete undivided happiness with another man who was expecting a child burned him inside with poisonous flame. He didn't realize the mistake. He was enraged that he got rejected, and pride, not heart, couldn't reconcile with it. He was wrong thinking Cyril wasn't home, he was at work, and wrongly thought that Kate, learning of his divorce, would support him and he could use it. Now he just drank alone in a cheap hotel room where he checked in after arriving. Thoughts tangled, forming an ugly picture. He saw himself not as a coward who fled from relationships, but as a victim of circumstances misunderstood. And Kate now seemed not the one he lost, but the one who dared reject him. Especially for this engineer who does odd jobs. This thought hurt most. He was traded for someone ordinary. Drunken anger sought an outlet. Ivan took the phone. He didn't call or write Kate. Her cold tone clearly showed it was useless. Instead, he found online the website of the enterprise where Cyril worked in his main specialty, found HR contacts, then the general corporate email. His fingers trembled with anticipation of revenge. He started typing an anonymous letter. In it, hiding behind the mask of a concerned employee, he wrote that engineer Cyril Michelson. He learned the surname from Faith, engages in unauthorized side work, using enterprise knowledge and resources, thus creating a conflict of interest and potentially violating commercial secrecy. He described how Cyril runs around cafes and clubs with a soldering iron while honest engineers work for the company's good. He hinted that such activity jeopardizes the firm's reputation and projects. He didn't check facts, didn't think of consequences. He was driven only by blind rage and desire to spoil the ideal happiness he saw at the door. He sent the letter and leaned back in the chair with drunken satisfaction. Now this ideal husband will get what he deserves. The consequences didn't wait long. At the enterprise where Cyril worked, strict rules reigned. The anonymous letter, though causing skepticism in the HR chief, was passed to security for verification. The reason was formal but sufficient. 3 days later, Cyril's direct boss came to his office, followed by 2 security employees. The boss said, "Cyril, close the project and please come with us for a talk." The conversation in the security office was dry and formal. They showed him the letter printout. Cyril first was stunned, then laughed. So absurd seemed this denunciation to him. He answered, "Of course I do side jobs, it's no secret, but I never use enterprise resources. I do everything in my free time with my own hands and tools. I fulfill my work duties fully, my boss will confirm. You can check all my projects. It's pure side work, repair of household appliances. No commercial secret in a cafe refrigerator. But corporate rules are rules." Cyril was suspended from current projects until the check was completed, formally for a few days. Actually, a crack appeared in his impeccable reputation. The boss, though sympathizing with Cyril, threw up his hands. "I covered for you, but you understand procedure. You'll have to sit home. We'll figure it out quickly." In the evening, Cyril returned home unusually silent. Kate immediately sensed something wrong. Something happened at work. Yes, some nonsense. He brushed it off, not wanting to worry her over trifles. But hiding tension was impossible, under her persistent calm gaze. He gave in and told everything. Kate listened without interrupting. Her face became focused and serious. When Cyril finished, she quietly exhaled. "This is Ivan." "Why do you think so?" "An anonymous letter. Anyone could write. Too timely, too dirty and mean. And he's the only one who could think of it. He saw you in the club when he came to talk. He knows you do side jobs. It's him." There was no panic in her voice, cold, clear confidence. That sharp mind Cyril once noticed was now working to protect their family. "But we can't prove it. We have to wait until security figures everything out." "No, we can't wait. This shadow of distrust, even if quickly dispelled, it may remain. You said you have serious government orders. Any hint of unreliability can cross out your career. We can't let this nobody influence our life." She took the laptop and sat on the sofa. Her fingers clacked on the keyboard with habitual business speed. Cyril was surprised. "What are you doing?" "Making a plan. First, tomorrow you go to your boss and security head and write an official statement requesting a prompt internal investigation, as the anonymous denunciation damages your reputation and harms projects. Offer full access to your work email, work logs. Complete transparency." Cyril looked at her with admiration. Where he saw a problem, she already saw a solution algorithm. Kate continued. "Second, we need to understand who this person is. His new wife. More precisely, if he's to be believed, now ex. If he so easily came to reconcile, things aren't smooth there. Maybe she doesn't know about his visits to ex-lovers. And how will you find her? Social networks." He bragged to Faith about his successful marriage, showed photos. "I remember her name. Olivia." In half an hour, Olivia was found. On the avatar, a happy couple. She and Ivan. Photo taken a few months ago. Kate showed Cyril the screen and said, "Look, she's active." Comments on mutual friends' posts. "They're clearly not fighting," meaning he lied. He didn't divorce. He came here for another adventure while his wife, perhaps, in another city. And what does this give us? Gives us everything. She thought through every step. The next day, Cyril, following her plan, went to work and acted maximally openly. His directness and readiness to cooperate made the right impression. The check was promised to finish in 2 days. Meanwhile, Kate, not wasting time, wrote to Olivia. Her message was a model of restraint and accuracy. No emotions, only facts. "Hello, Olivia. Sorry for the disturbance. My name is Kate. I'm a former acquaintance of your husband Ivan. I have to bother you because his actions are starting to negatively affect my husband's reputation. Ivan recently came to our city. He found me, said you were divorcing, and tried to renew relations. After refusal, he apparently sent an anonymous denunciation to my husband's work to harm him. I don't know if you're aware of his trip and actions, but as a woman, I feel obliged to inform you. With respect, Kate." Attached was a screenshot of that message from Faith where she bragged about his successful marriage, and a photo of him with Olivia. Proof that Kate knew whom she was talking about. The reply came in a few hours. Short and agitated. "This is some nightmare. We're not divorcing. He's on a business trip," he said. "Please call me now." The phone conversation was hard. Olivia, first distrustful and aggressive, quickly gave in, hearing Kate's calm, confident voice and all details. She cried. It turned out this wasn't the first call about Ivan's escapades, but the first backed by such iron proof and said without gloating, with sincere sympathy. That same evening, Ivan got a call from his wife. What happened on the other end can only be guessed, but in an hour Cyril's phone exploded with a call from work. Security, after a quick check, traced the IP from which the anonymous letter was sent. It belonged to the hotel where Ivan was registered. In a repeat interview, Cyril mentioned a recent conflict with this person, who threatened to deal with it. That was enough. The next day, Cyril's boss called him in and said, "Well, the story took an ugly turn. Sorry for the hassle." Clear. This gentleman wrote obvious slander to interfere. Security will prepare a conclusion. Your reputation is fully cleared. You can return to projects. And sorry again for the inconvenience. Cyril left work feeling a huge weight lifted from his shoulders. He drove home to Kate, feeling not only relief but new deepest respect for his wife. She didn't just wait, she acted and protected him in a way he couldn't imagine. At home, a quiet, cozy kitchen and Kate with a cup of herbal tea awaited. Kate looked tired but calm. She asked, though his face already said everything. "It's over." "Yes, finally and irrevocably. Thank you. I wouldn't have done it myself. You wouldn't have done anything. You'd silently wait, because you're honest and expect the same from others. And with people like Ivan that doesn't work. You have to speak their language, the language of facts and consequences." She sighed, put her hand on her belly and said, "That's it, real period in this matter." Olivia said she's flying for him tomorrow morning to pick him up from the business trip personally. "I think he'll have other worries now." Cyril hugged Kate, feeling their son move under his palm, their shared defender, their quiet, smart, incredibly strong fortress. He told his wife, "You know, he unwittingly gave us a gift." Kate was surprised. "What?" "He proved to me I married the most amazing person in the world. Not only kind and neat, but so strong that no storm scares us." Kate smiled her restrained smile, now showing not only tenderness but unshakable confidence. She answered, "No more storms. Only our calm and only our happiness." They fell silent, listening to the silence, which this time was absolute and unbreakable. The story with Ivan finally stayed in the past, leaving not a scratch on their future. It was too strong for someone alien and embittered to shake it. The silence and peace that settled in the home after Ivan's final expulsion lasted several weeks. Kate and Cyril enjoyed their calm, as she called it. They prepared for the son's birth, set up the nursery, and even the thought of Faith, who didn't call or write, didn't cloud their happiness. Kate attributed her friend's silence to natural distancing. They now had different life priorities. One evening, sorting mail on the laptop, Kate came across a letter from Olivia, Ivan's wife. The subject was concise. "Thank you." And something else. Opening the attachment, she read, "Kate, hello. I want to thank you again for opening my eyes. It was painful for me but necessary. Ivan is with me now, and we're trying to sort out our relationship. He admitted a lot but not everything. In the process of our talks, he let slip in anger that his visit to you and the whole anonymous letter story weren't his sole idea. He mentioned acting on tips and with active help from your mutual friend Faith. He said she insistently advised him to fight for you. It was she who told him where and when to find you. And it was she who hinted that your current man is unreliable and just playing ideal family. I don't care about your relationship with Faith, but I thought you have the right to know. Some people can't stand seeing others' happiness. With respect, Olivia." Kate reread the letter 3 times. First, she didn't believe it. Faith, her best friend who always supported her, it didn't fit. But then, like a puzzle, all the oddities and inconsistencies started fitting. It was Faith who first told Kirill about Ivan. It was Faith who easily agreed to the meeting at her place, though knowing Kate's feelings for Kirill. It was Faith who calmed Kate, saying Cyril wouldn't go anywhere, almost pushing her to stay with Ivan that fateful day. And it was Faith who so easily let slip Kate's workplace to Ivan. Kate called her husband and said, "Cyril, look at this." Cyril read the letter and his face darkened. He quietly said, "I never fully trusted her. There was always some falseness in her, but I didn't think she was capable of this." "But why? We were friends since university. She was like a sister to me. What does she want from us?" Kate. The simplest and most poisonous feeling. She saw how you suffered because of Ivan and was your lifeline. Then I appeared and you became happy, independent, strong. You started leaving her control and influence. Your happiness became a reproach to her. She needed to make you unhappy again to feel needed and important. She didn't want you back with Ivan. She wanted to destroy what you have now. Cyril's logic was merciless. And to Kate's horror, absolutely correct. She remembered how Faith always commented on their plans with a slight smirk, how skeptically asked, "Are you sure these plans are real? He's such a simple guy." It wasn't care. It was subtle, poisonous injections of doubt. Her meticulous mind, having survived one battle, started building a new strategy. Kate firmly said, "I can't leave it like this." She must admit it. Not for revenge, for me to put a period in this friendship. This time the plan was simple. Directness against lies. They invited Faith over, citing wanting to reconcile and discuss old friendship. Faith came a bit wary but with her usual light smile. She admired the coziness of the new apartment, touched Kate's belly, said standard words about impending motherhood. When they sat for tea, Kate without preamble put the printout of Olivia's letter in front of her and asked, "Explain this, please." Faith scanned the text. Her face first reddened, then paled. She tried to make a puzzled expression and answered, "What is this? Some nonsense from offended women. Do you believe this?" Ivan twisted her. "So she's looking for the guilty." Faith. Ivan already confirmed everything to Olivia. He didn't take all the blame because he's not such a knight. He ratted you out completely to justify himself to his wife. Faith fell silent. Her mask started cracking, revealing confusion and malice. "Okay, suppose I gave him advice. So what? I saw how you missed him. I wanted you to be happy. And this electrician." She nodded contemptuously towards Cyril and continued, "He's your match. You were always a princess. And he's an ordinary guy with a soldering iron. I wanted to return you a worthy man. A worthy liar and coward. You didn't want my happiness, Faith. You wanted to return me to the state when I was unhappy and fully dependent on your advice and shoulder. You couldn't reconcile with me becoming independent and happy without your participation. You're not a friend, you're a jailer who likes his prisoner in the cell. How can you talk to me like that? I did so much for you. How many nights I listened to you when you cried over Ivan. And what did he do for you? Gave a flower and made promises. He gave me love, trust and family, and you tried to steal it. The worst is you tried to harm not only me but my child. Stress from this story, threat to my child's father's career. Did you think about that?" Faith was silent, lips compressed. All her arguments were exhausted. Only bare resentment and envy remained. "That's it, Faith." Kate rose from the sofa. Her figure, despite pregnancy, looked regal and invulnerable. "Our friendship is over. I don't want to see, hear, or know about you. Just leave and never try to contact me." Faith stood, her face twisted in an anger grimace. "You'll regret this. You'll be left alone with your handyman. We'll see how long your fairy tale lasts." She left, slamming the door. Silence settled in the apartment again, this time bitter and sad. Kate sank onto the sofa, and tears finally flowed down her cheeks. These were tears not of betrayal, but of an illusion that lasted years. She mourned not Faith, but the image of a friend she herself invented. Cyril hugged her, silently pressed her to him and whispered, "Sorry you had to go through this. It's my fault. I didn't want to see the obvious. I valued our friendship so much that I closed my eyes to her flaws. It's okay. Now no one and nothing will cloud our happiness, and that's enough." Kate nodded and pressed against him. She felt not the pain of loss but strange relief. As if a sore tooth that ached long was removed. Now her life, her home, her family were fully cleansed of toxic past. Her past, which almost broke her present. They sat silently, listening to the rain outside washing away all dirt and grievances. Their fortress withstood not only an external enemy but a traitor inside the walls, and became stronger from it. Now their future was truly cloudless and belonged only to them. In due time Kate gave birth to a boy. From the maternity hospital, Cyril picked her up with colleagues from her office. Faith was not there. Ivan reconciled with Olivia, got another job without business trips. He never came back to the city where Kate and Cyril lived. Faith lived alone, occasionally meeting Stan. She knew he was married but didn't see him as a husband or even live in. She no longer communicated with Kate and Cyril. And that's the end of the story. Reflecting aloud, I want to say, life always tests our strength through betrayal, deception, or trust trials. But strong people understand that true support is love, honesty, and readiness to defend each other. Envy, lies, and the past will always try to destroy happiness, but it's up to us whether we allow it. Family is a fortress we build not with walls, but with faith and mutual support. And only those ready to stay no matter what truly deserve to be called family. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. With respect, your channel.